what are the 4 isms that I believe in. Is like, because unfortunately, like when people are gonna talk about isms or philosophy, people say, oh, this guy is bullshitting. And I feel sad is that because like when the word philosophizing has become somebody's like he's a grandiosing or he's talking nonsense. But the thing is like I'm gonna try to communicate philosophy in the easiest way possible, and I hope you're gonna get you interested. So yeah, the topic is about what do you believe in. So isms that actually have changed my life. I'm going to start with individualism, humanism, skepticism, and pragmatism, and what is called realism. Well, they're actually the same, pragmatism and realism. So this is one of the like major philosophies that really makes me wake up every morning, which is individualism. Individualism came from the word individual, okay? So I believe, that's my major belief, that the best investments you can do in your life is by investing in yourself. You should not, the better the individual, the better the society. The more informed the individual, the better the leaders of the society become. If you are going to live in a democratic state, in what's called a civilized world, okay? If you're going to focus on the micro, who is the individual, the better the micro, the better the small scale, the better the big scale, which is the society or the community. So this is what actually called individualism, and I hope that the name doesn't scare you up. So it starts for think for yourself, which is one of the hardest things somebody can do, is to think for yourself, because most of us depend for others to think for us. We mostly take our beliefs, our ideas from the authority, which mostly comes from parents, is that we think most likely as our parents think. And work for yourself, invest in yourself, and learn for yourself. I've written 2 essays about knowledge myself, and I think that there are 2 cases somebody can make, is like, when you want to go read a book, and most of us are lazy, it's like, why should I read the book? And like, oh, I have no mood or anything of that sort. But there are 2 cases I have thought. First of all, gain knowledge for the sake of knowledge, okay? That is not as important as much as you gain knowledge, the more likely you're going to protect yourself from people manipulating your ignorance, okay? The more informed you are, the less people are going to take advantage of your ignorance. We are living today mostly in a free world, and there are too many choices somebody can make. And everybody try to use your ignorance. If you are going to buy a cell phone or a laptop or whatever, and you go to a shop, if you have no idea what cell phone is, and like, what is the good cell phone, what is the bad cell phone, and then the guy and the salesman gonna take advantage of you, because, well, it's justifiable because he wants to gain money, okay? But he's gonna take as much advantage of your ignorance, and he's gonna sell you maybe the worst product with the highest price. So the better you invest in yourself, the more you educate yourself, the more likely you will not be manipulated and let other people take advantage of your ignorance. And that is actually from Albert Einstein. He said that you should commit yourself to values, not to people. That is, I think, is very important, because sometimes we commit to people so much, and then when they break up the relationship with us, we go broke. But if you're going to commit yourself to values, they never die. Values will always stay alive. And always, what I think is very important about beliefs, is that you have to ask yourself the question, why do I believe what I believe? Does these beliefs come from authority, anywhere else, or does it come based upon reason and evidence? And this is from my favorite author. He died last year, and I actually cried. He said, take the risk for thinking for yourself. Much more happiness, truth, beauty, and wisdom will come to you this way. I seriously miss Christopher Hitchens. He's one of my favorite authors. But the most important thing is, the reason why he mentioned risk is actually an article from Slate magazine, is that because it's truly a risk. When because when you are totally dependent on other people's ideas, and you have to really be committed. You have to make an effort to think for yourself, because the majority of people don't, unfortunately. So isn't that selfish? Many people will consider like, oh, if you're gonna only think of yourself, that is a bad thing. It's selfish. It's bad. And just like what Ajit said in the previous speech, is like why like salesmen is always viewed as bad people. But as I have mentioned, it's like there is no we without the I. There is no group that can sustain itself, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a company, whether it's a house, or a government, or a country, cannot sustain itself if not each individual is developed. It cannot sustain itself. So there is no good we without good I. There is no good big community without good individuals. And that my idea, or the idea of individualism has been so much explained by this great book by Adam Smith, the economist, Scottish economist from the 18th century in the Age of Enlightenment, where he explained the theory called the invisible hand. I don't know if anyone is familiar with it. Is that the invisible hand is simply that when individuals succeed and they follow their self-interest, the invisible hand would non-intentionally allow good things to happen. Is that goodness, most of the good things that we see around the world are not by people who don't intend good at all. Okay, and I'm going to explain that. So if you are going for let's say a restaurant, okay, the aim of the CEO of the restaurant is to make as much money as possible. That is his aim. But what he's doing is that he's giving you your favorite sandwich. So he's doing a good thing, but his intention is not actually to serve you a sandwich. He wants to make money, but to do that, he serves you and he do good. And it's the same as if you're going to buy an iPhone. The main intention of Apple company is obviously to generate wealth. But they're giving you an iPhone as a result of their self-interest, and they're making good products for people to use. So it's like what Invisible Hand simply says is that most goodness in the world does not come from, this comes from people who don't intend good at all. Is that intention doesn't matter on the results. And that's actually one of the fun things I wrote in Big Think articles, that invisible hand is the only invisible thing that I believe in. Because I'm a realist and I don't believe in any supernatural thing. So how does individualism change the way we think of the world? If you just think about it, if each one of us look at each other as simply individuals, not as members of group, it's like when I start looking at you as an individual, regardless of your race, your sexual orientation, the whole perception of society is like the concept of racism, for example, comes from we group other people, we put them in a group. Malays are lazy, something like this, and then that's how racism actually originates, is that because we deal with people as a group. But if we deal with people as individuals and we look at them, whether they are moral, whether they're good, intelligent, and stuff like that, our whole perception will change. There's a difference between dealing with people as a group and dealing with people as individuals. And I think that idea would make the world a better place. Because all of, like, from racism into sectarianism and stuff, is that we look at people as groups, as that they are members of association, and we put them as a guilty of association, and then we start attacking them. And that needs to be changed, hopefully. So that's quoted from Ayn Rand from her book, The Fountainhead. She said that the smallest minority on earth is the individuals. Those who deny individual rights cannot be claimed to be the defenders of the minorities. Is that what hopefully the governments or anyone in authority, they should focus on the smallest minority. Regardless of race, is that individual is the minority that we all should focus on. We should not talk about white people rights, black people rights, whatever. There's individual rights and all people are equal accordingly. And that's what the Constitution of the United States was founded upon. So I go to my third philosophy, which is I spoke about in the previous, which is about individualism, is that the pragmatism and realism. Is that look, it's like, if you look at your mom, she always tells you, don't go out with your friends, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. But the thing is, it's like her intention is a pure love. It's like she loves you, she cares about you and everything. But the results, you are more likely to be undeveloped socially because she's not allowing you to hang out with your friends. Is that her intention is good, but the results are bad. We should not give a, actually it's not, nobody gives a damn about what the intentions are. What matters at the end is the results. Whether what you're doing works or not. And whether you go to exam and you say, I tend to pass, is different than I worked hard and I'm going to pass. Intentions mean nothing in the real world. That's what I hope many people will understand. So and then I go to my third philosophy, the philosophy that actually I use it a lot in the field of journalism and in the media. I think it's very important for everyone, which is skepticism. It simply goes into two questions, into two main principles. Is that you have to question everything. Everything you hear, you have to question it. You always have to be skeptical and pragmatic at the same time. You look, most importantly, at evidence. And Albert Einstein said, learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow, and the most important thing is to stop questioning. If you look at the world in media and journalism, politicians, everything, they make a lot of promise. They tell you a lot of things. But you should always ask the question, where is the evidence? Intentions don't matter, and promises without results don't matter. And that's my favorite philosophy, which is I'm mostly famous of from my writings and my social media influence, which is a humanism, which is be good for goodness sake. And somebody should be good not out of fear of laws, fear of hell, or whatever imaginary things, but for love of humanity. The more we're going to understand, this is the only goodness that we can sustain in the world. When the reason that you are good is because you love someone, you love the world, not because you are afraid of hell or afraid of laws or manipulations. And that's it. Thank you very much.